Hey there, Sam Visnick here from Release Muscle Therapy, and today I want to talk about the 4 major things that you need to do to get sacroiliac joint relief short term and prevent these issues from coming back in the long term. Now, in this video, I'm not going to cover all the individual specific exercises and stretches that you can do because I do cover that in my other videos, but I want to talk about the larger overall strategy. Now, when we're talking about sacroiliac joint issues, we do have to talk about something really important here, which is, are we dealing with an acute injury or are we talking about a chronic issue? So if we're dealing with an acute injury, you need to make sure that you go see your doctor and that you rule out serious pathology, because that is a completely different animal than dealing with chronic ongoing issues in the sacroiliac joints. Now, first and foremost, when we're talking about pain, one of the most important things that we can possibly do is to rule out serious pathology. So just make sure that that's done with your medical care provider. So assuming that that's the case, then we move into step number 1. And step number 1 is education. Lots of research is coming out right now about the value of understanding pain when it comes to reducing pain. So the reality is that we fear things that we don't understand, and pain is one of those things. Pain is complicated, and it's not always related to structural biomechanical issues that can just be fixed with mobilizations, exercises, and stretches. So we need to understand what is going on when it comes to chronic pain, and that is going to make a big difference on calming nerves down. And calming nerves down is really what we're talking about when it comes to pain relief. So number 1, pain education. Most important thing when it comes to overcoming chronic SI joint problems. Now, the second thing that comes up is oftentimes never addressed is sleep. Now, we know through lots of new research that's coming out that the quality and the quantity of your sleep and rest has a lot to do with how much sensitivity you have to pain. So if you don't sleep well, you're only sleeping 5 hours a night, then you're going to have more pain. So even if you do have a structural biomechanical cause for your sacroiliac joint pain, you're going to experience it as far worse than it really is. So getting good quality sleep is crucial when it comes to SI joint pain relief. Now on to the third piece. Now we get into movement. Movement is huge when it comes to getting pain relief. We know that getting regular exercise and movement helps push oxygen and blood into certain areas, and it keeps areas mobile. And that type of situation is going to give us a nice neurochemical release of all those pain-killing substances inside of our biology that's going to help us give ourselves relief from chronic SI joint issues. So their movement can be classified into a number of different types. We have aerobic exercise. We oftentimes think about that as cardiovascular exercise, which is low intensity, constant movement, such as taking a walk around the block in a brisk manner. Sometimes for some people that's jogging, cycling, those sorts of things. We also have resistance training, which is using bands, tubing, dumbbells, exercise machines, and so forth. And then of course we have lots of different types of body weight calisthenic based movements. We have stretching and we have mobilizations. Now, doing all of these things should be specific to the SI joint issues that you may have. And I do have to step back for a moment and to say we're not only dealing with just the sacroiliac joints. Those joints have very little movement, and some people no movement at all. So when we're having pain in that area, we need to make sure that we're addressing all of the joints around the sacroiliac joints, all of the tissues around the sacroiliac joints, and of course, we're talking about nerves along with that. So movement is crucial when it comes to getting long-term relief from sacroiliac joint issues. And last but certainly not least, which is important in overcoming long-term SI joint pain issues, is setting goals. And what do I mean by that? Setting goals is all about getting back to doing the activities that you want to be doing. One of the issues in being stuck in the vicious chronic pain cycle is constantly focusing on pain and always getting relief of pain rather than focusing on improvement of function. And oftentimes, paradoxically, improving function and getting us back to doing the activities that we want to be doing relieves pain. Because we have more functionality, we feel less disability, and that allows us to experience less of an impact on our psycho-emotional system, and that has a lot of bearing on how much pain we experience. So we really are talking about a mind-body system here. So we want to set goals, and even if we can't go back and do something like run a marathon tomorrow, we're going to start the process of thinking about how we're going to be moving into the direction of doing the things that we want to be doing, and that involves a concept called graded exposure. And graded exposure simply means taking an activity that you want to do that might be quite advanced and scaling it back in lots of steps that are small and manageable, that you can do these little steps, and as you start to gain more momentum, you find yourself doing more and more until you can get back to doing that activity full speed. This goes a long way in helping the pain relief process, reducing disability, and improving our ability to cope with minor setbacks along the way like aches and pains, and getting us back to doing what we want to do.